Since 2020, a contiguous belt of 6 West and Central African states, running from the Atlantic coast to the Red Sea approaches, has seen its civilian governments overthrown by uniformed officers, one after another, in a continuous east-west chain. No coup belt this dense has emerged anywhere in the world in 50 years. First, the geography. The Sahel is the transition zone between the Sahara Desert to the north and the wetter African savanna to the south. It runs roughly 5,000 kilometers from Senegal in the west to Sudan in the east. Thin rainfall, thinner state authority, almost no paved roads connecting capitals. Most of these states share 3 structural features. First, Francophone colonial inheritance. 5 of the 6 were once part of French West Africa or French Equatorial Africa. Second, a long, thinly governed northern desert frontier where extremist groups move freely across borders. Third, young populations, low GDP per capita, and a single dominant export commodity: gold, uranium, or oil. Now the sequence. August 2020. Mali. Colonel Assimi Goïta and the small junta overthrow President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. 9 months later, Goïta does it again, this time removing the transitional civilian president he had just installed. A coup within a coup. September 2021. Guinea. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya removes President Alpha Condé, who has recently changed the constitution to allow himself a 3rd term. January 2022, Burkina Faso. Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba seizes power. 8 months later, in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré overthrows him. Another coup within a coup. July 2023, Niger. General Abdurrahmane Chiani, head of the Presidential Guard, arrests and removes elected President Mohamed Bazoum, arguably the most pro-Western leader left in the region. August 2023, Gabon. General Brice Oligui Nguema removes President Ali Bongo after a contested election. In Chad, Mahamat Déby has held power through a military transition since his father's death in 2021. 3 causal currents converge in the Sahel today. First, security collapse. Since the 2011 Libya intervention, the Central Sahel has become the deadliest theater for jihadist insurgency on earth. Groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State control significant swaths of rural Mali, Burkina Faso, and western Niger. Civilian governments, perceived as failing to deliver security, lose legitimacy long before they lose office. Second, foreign realignment. French troops deployed across the region under Operation Barkhane were expelled from Mali in 2022, from Burkina Faso in 2023, and from Niger in 2023 through 2024. In their place, Russian-aligned private military contractors, first the Wagner Group, now succeeded by the Africa Corps under direct Russian Ministry of Defense control. The strategic map of the Sahel has flipped. Third, civilian fatigue. Across the region, polling consistently shows majority public support for the new juntas in the months immediately following their seizures of power. Whatever else they are, these coups are not unpopular. In September 2023, the new military governments of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger formed the Alliance of Sahel States, in French, the AES. In January 2024, all 3 withdrew from ECOWAS, the regional economic and political bloc that had governed West African integration for half a century. Their stated objectives: a common defense pact, a shared currency to replace the French-backed CFA franc, coordinated mining and energy policy, and the eventual withdrawal of Western forces and Western-aligned institutions from the region. In practical terms, a sovereignty bloc under military leadership aligned with Moscow and increasingly with Beijing. Three forces are now in tension. One, the junta's ability to actually deliver security. Casualty figures from jihadist violence in Mali and Burkina Faso have risen, not fallen, since the coups. If that trend continues, domestic legitimacy will erode. Two, the response of ECOWAS and the Economic and Monetary Union of West Africa, both still dominated by civilian-ruled coastal states like Nigeria, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire. Three, the durability of the Russian security model. Wagner's collapse in 2023 briefly destabilized the new arrangement. The Africa Corps has stabilized it, but at the cost of putting the Kremlin's signature on every counterinsurgency operation. The Sahel coup belt is not an accident. It is the visible outline of a regional rearrangement, post-French, post-civilian, post-ECOWAS. What replaces those frameworks is still being negotiated, often at gunpoint. That was the Sahel, briefly. Subscribe to World Briefly for more focused explainers on the next regional story that matters.